Hello and welcome viewers. You're watching Perspective with your host Kruti Mishra. Union Home Minister Amit Shah launched the Vibrant Villages program in Kibithoo, a village along the India-China border. It is one of the remotest circle headquarters of Arunachal Pradesh, which was overrun by the Chinese troops in the first phase of the 1962 Indo-China border war. The Vibrant Villages program was announced in the Finance Minister's budget speech of 2022. In February 2023, the Union Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Modi, approved the centrally sponsored scheme Vibrant Villages program with financial allocation of 4,800 crore rupees. It is a centrally sponsored scheme under which 2,967 villages in 46 blocks of 19 districts neighbouring the northern border in the states of Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh and UT of Ladakh are covered. In the first phase, 662 villages have been identified for priority on coverage, which includes 455 villages in Arunachal Pradesh. And for a deeper understanding of the implications of this move, I'm joined by an illustrious panel of guests. Joining us in the studio, Mr. Suresh K. Goyal, Firm Ambassador. Welcome to Sansad TV Ambassador. Also joining us, Major General Retired Ashwini Kumar Sivach, Defence Expert. Welcome to Sansad TV, General. And also we have with us Mr. Deepak Diwan, Senior Journalist. A very warm welcome, Mr. Diwan. And joining us through virtual platform, Mr. Sriram Cholia, Foreign Affairs Expert. A very warm welcome, Dr. Cholia. And before we commence our discussion, let's listen in to the Home Minister.
मोदी जी अब जो वाइब्रेंट विलेज कार्यक्रम लेकर आए, उत्तरी भूभाग की सीमा 4 राज्यों और एक यूटी के 19 जिले, 46 ब्लॉक और 2967 गांवों में ये वाइब्रेंट विलेज कार्यक्रम शुरू हो रहा है। इसका पहला हिस्सा 662 गांवों में और 46 ब्लॉकों में शुरू होगा। लगभग 1,42,000 की आबादी, 1,82,000 की आबादी इसकी लाभार्थी होगी। 2022 से लेकर 2026 तक 4800 करोड़ रुपया खर्च किया जाएगा। 11 जिले, 28 ब्लॉक और 1451 गांवों को प्रथम स्टेज में, जो प्रथम हमारा चरण है, प्रथम चरण में समाहित किया गया है। इसमें 3 स्तर पर गांवों के विकास की काम है। सबसे पहले गांव के व्यक्ति का विकास। जब तक व्यक्ति का विकास नहीं होता, तब तक गांव खाली होना बंद नहीं होगा। हर गांव में बसे हुए, हमारे वाइब्रेंट विलेज में बसे हुए हर व्यक्ति की सुविधाओं की चिंता भारत सरकार करेगी, अरुणाचल सरकार करेगी।
All right, so that was Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah speaking from Arunachal Pradesh. And now time to commence our discussion. Ambassador Goyal, let me begin the program with you. Ours is a parliamentary channel, sir, and I'd like to quote a very important Parliamentary Standing Committee report that was given in 2018. The committee was on Home Affairs and the report was on border capacity building, the issues and the challenges. Now, very important observations were made, very important recommendations were given. The issues that the Parliamentary Committee pointed out, backwardness, illiteracy and lack of basic facilities. Now, in that context, how do you see the importance of today's program that was launched by Union Home Minister, Vibrant Villages program?
It's a very difficult question here. There are a lot of complexities involved here. And I'm going to be perfectly honest here in my views really on developing this program of Vibrant Villages. I think on the whole, the idea is extremely good because defense of the border, whether it is uncertain borders, decided borders or whatever it is, but the defense of the border regions from that point of view will actually depend not only on the military and the military material which has been deployed to take care of the security, but in a certain sense it depends a lot on the people who are living in the border areas. They can contribute hugely to the security issues. They can be the first defensive wall there. At the same time, while the people are the first perimeter of defense in that sense in the whole calculation, security of the people itself is part of the overall development of the area and therefore the calculation of the defense. So you can see it's a kind of a catch-22 situation.
That's true.
We will need to work on development, economic growth, develop facilities, infrastructure, etc., which can become attractive for people to stay there and not to migrate from the villages for various things, build schools, build market, etc. At the same time, in the initial stage at least, you need to work out a kind of a security system which can allow all these to take place. Unless you have the basic security, it will not happen. That is point number one. Point number two is also that China, if you recall, and I think about this program of the Vibrant Villages is in response to the Chinese policy of last year or the year before last, if I remember correctly, of actually involving the border areas, village districts into developing security of the regions. This they had announced. I am quite sure that when we begin to build up our border areas, just like you know what happened when we began to develop our infrastructure, there were problems, but we are dealing with that. Once we begin to develop the villages in that manner, we also need to build into our calculation the likely Chinese response in that area. I think I'll stop here for the time being and we can then deal with the issues later on.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Ambassador Goyal, for putting things in perspective and sharing the broad contours. General Sivaj, before we talk about this program, the impact of this program, so I'd like to understand what are the challenges as far as security is concerned in our border villages?
No, as far as the border villages are concerned, see what has happened is that Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh, as far as a border with China is concerned, our infrastructure development is lacking quite a bit compared to China. In fact, if you take it as sector-wise, that we can divide this into three sectors. Basically, Ladakh is the western sector, and then your Himachal and Uttarakhand is central sector, and Arunachal Pradesh is eastern sector. Now, as far as the eastern sector concerned, which is Arunachal Pradesh, the problem is peculiarity in the sense that for first 30 to 40 years, we did not develop any infrastructure, thinking that if we make roads and also improve infrastructure, the Chinese can make use of it. And therefore, we have not developed our roads up till, in fact, you can say 1990 to 2000. But thereafter, the mindset has changed, and especially with the present government, after it has come in power, then infrastructure start developing in Arunachal Pradesh at a very fast pace. There are a number of roads coming, bridges coming, tunnels coming, Sela tunnel coming. No, I remember way back in 86 to 88, I used to be deployed in basically in Tooting, Machuka area. It used to take us about 4 to 6 days to reach a battalion headquarters, and the company headquarters was further by walking. There were no roads. It was only advanced landing ground or you have to walk. But things have changed drastically now. You find the infrastructure is a class of a first class now, whether it is Arunachal Pradesh or whether it is Ladakh. If you take it Ladakh, you find that the problem came with the Chinese is only this, that when they were improving the infrastructure, the India did not object it. But when we started making our infrastructure, the Chinese started objecting. This in April 2020 when they came, they were trying to challenge our road Darbuk Shok Daulat Beg Old, because they are thinking that we are building this road and from there the laterals are coming toward Exai chain, that India is up to something. So therefore, once we started improving our infrastructure, Chinese start raising the voice, start raising the bogey. At the same time, in Uttarakhand and Himachal also, a lot of activities taking Manna, Malari, all roads have come. So overall, one can say in last about 10 to 15 years, you find the infrastructure development on our side is at very fast pace. I certainly say that we are still far behind the Chinese, but it is a matter of 10 to 15 years, we'll catch them up. Where we are slightly behind more is in Arunachal Pradesh. As I stated earlier, that possibly we started late and we had a mindset, let us not develop that area because the Chinese will make use of it. Remember, once you become military strong and economically strong, then you can look into the Chinese eye. Today, we are the 4th largest army in the world and 5th largest economy. And as far as economy is concerned, in another 5 to 7 years, we are going to become a third largest economy. So that has changed. Our mindset has changed. We are looking into the Chinese eyes. Though another issue which I want to highlight to my viewers is that earlier we were defensive in nature. We always thought the Chinese will come and will defend. Now the things have changed. We are offensive. We are saying that we have got 2 strike corps. We raised 17 strike corps about 10 years back, and also 1 strike corps moved from western sector to northern sector with the aim to tell Chinese it is not only you can come in India, India has an offensive capability and India can come and go in China. So this has also changed the whole mindset. But overall I say the infrastructure development has sincerely taken off in last 10 years and we are fast developing. We are building up roads, bridges, tunnels, and another about 15 to 20 years we will have almost equivalent infrastructure like what Chinese have.
General Savash, those are very important assertions that you made. Let me go across to Dr. Chalia. Dr. Chalia, General Savash says that offense is the best defense and our stance has changed completely. Your thoughts?
Definitely, Kriti, I think India's strategic culture has shifted. In the Narendra Modi era, what we are seeing is willingness to take risks, willingness to also stare down the adversary. Because earlier, the mindset was that will the Chinese be upset? What if they are upset by anything we do? And will we be able to withstand the blowback effect of a Chinese retaliation? So now I think we are factoring those in, and we have also got a strong strategic partnerships now with the Quad countries especially, and we are using the geospatial intelligence and mapping from our near ally-like countries to monitor the Chinese movements better and the infrastructure and their demographic strategies on their side. So, demography is important, and these Vibrant Villages program is a recognition that border areas is not just land, it's full of people.
That's true.
And those people's loyalties are important. They need to feel secure. And of course, they are also important to be able to keep an eye on what is happening on the other side. These are very high Himalayan frontiers we're talking about, where both Chinese are also trying to weaponize the population on their side. So we have to take adequate measures to make sure the security and well-being of people on our side is also a primary concern for us. And as far as the infrastructure goes and the mindset, yes, now we are saying that we are not going to be deterred by Chinese threats or any preemptive moves by the Chinese. So, like General was saying, we don't need anybody's permission for Amit Shah ji to be in Arunachal Pradesh.
That's true.
So let them object. Let them go to town saying that this is a violation of confidence building or of border agreements and all these things. Let them say it. It's a political thing for them to say. The Chinese always do this. They are always trying to needle and poke us. But I think we need to do whatever is in our core national interest without, batting an eyelid. And that now we are doing, so it takes courage, because even 2020, the incursions they made in Ladakh, in the western sector, were meant to put pressure on us not to do the border infrastructure and the socio-economic development of our villages. But the fact we are going ahead undeterred, that is a big signal. I think the Chinese are seeing a different India now. And it's not just the mirror deployment. If they've got 60,000, we got 60,000 on our side. And like General is saying, we also have counter-offensive capabilities, and we have shown it also on what the Chinese claim to be their side of LAC. So I think, of course, the dialogue and all these things are also going on, but the border round after round of negotiations have not yielded much Chinese concessions.
That's true.
Chinese understand strength. They respect an organized and structured adversary. And I think what we are trying to say is, look, we are organized and structured now. You cannot just browbeat us, or you cannot just steamroll over us. So I think these are important, border development programs, and overall they add up to a strong and secure frontier. So the Chinese cannot make any inroads actually.
Absolutely.
Once the populations are settled and they are there, and we bring in more people, there's no way the Chinese can then, show a new map and say this area is always belong to China. That what they call cartographic aggression. So I think border areas development is primary, and the Modi government has understood it, and we have really invested not just in the physical infrastructure, but in the people and the human resources. And in the, a lot of these areas also have Tibetan communities which are on both sides, on the on the Chinese occupied Tibet as well. So the loyalties of the Tibetan community is very important. The succession of the Dalai Lama is very important. These are all big geostrategic points of value where India has to be smart and proactive, and we are showing that proactiveness through this Vibrant Villages program.
Absolutely. Those are very strong words there, and I'll take the reaction. But before that, Mr. Diwan, now you enjoyed the reputation of covering the Northeast very, very meticulously. Our panelists have talked about the infrastructural development. So I'd like to understand from you, what has transformed there? What has changed on the ground?
Well, for a common man living in this part of India to understand where is Arunachal Pradesh, today we have Rajdhani Express going from New Delhi to the old capital of Arunachal Pradesh, Naharlagun, twice a week. That is, it's so near now. It's connected. It's connecting people. That's what this government has done. Not only Arunachal, the entire Northeast, the first priority was to change meter gauge to broad gauge, to connect Northeast with the rest of the India. Similarly, now you see many occasions Prime Minister went there and he said, Northeast needs HIRA, H-I-R-A, highways, railways and airways. Now we have direct flights going from New Delhi to different capitals of Northeast. Direct flights. There was a time when I had to travel by train to Kolkata, then take a flight to go to Northeast. And there used to be only one flight to Guwahati. That used to be via Patna, Bagdogra, and what all, Then from there it would go to Imphal, from Imphal to Silchar, then go to Kolkata. And the similar flight would start from Kolkata, Silchar, Imphal, then Guwahati, Bagdogra, Patna, then Delhi. Imagine, it used to take one full day to travel whenever you were there. Nowadays you go, there are so many flights, so many airports, and we have all direct connections. This is connectivity. See, also the thing is, Northeast today, I've been covering this region for the last 40 years.
That's right, sir.
Today you go to any capital of any state, we have a target of connecting railways to all the state capitals by next year. Guwahati, of course, we had right from the beginning, very old this thing. We expanded to Agartala. We have gone to the foothills of Mizoram, Bairabi. From there, the rail line will go up to near some place called, which is hardly 30 kilometers from Aizawl. And now the train is reaching Imphal also. It has reached up to Tupul, which is again 25 kilometers from Imphal. From Imphal, the train would go right up to Moreh border, which is the trade point between Myanmar and India.
Right.
So all these kind of developments are taking place. Things have changed. People are looking forward to better life.
That's right.
That's why if you look at this model of Vibrant Village program, what the Vibrant Village would have, I will tell you what the government wants to do there. They want to do better road connectivity of all the border villages on the LAC, along with the LAC road, who are situated there. They will have supply of drinking water. Water is a big problem still in many states of Northeast. For miles, you'll see women walking with the, containers carrying a headload of water. So the government has promised all these borders villages will have drinking water supply 24/7 electricity supply to all these villages, and solar and wind energy, because Arunachal is one place we have a lot of wind there, so windmill programs are also going on there. Mobile and internet network, tourist centers.
That's right.
Now, see, the tourist center is one thing which brings immediately some economic activity wherever you develop. You need a place to stay, you need a place, you need a transport to go around. So all this will come and the locals will benefit out of it.
That's true.
Then multi-purpose centers, healthcare, institutions will come up, infrastructure, hospitals or other things. Then wellness centers for the locals as well as others. So, like Modi ji said, just now Mr. Shah said in his speech that we have to develop the villager first.
That's right.
So all these things are being done to develop the infrastructure along with the some activity which would generate income for the local person.
All right. So what you're saying is that there are massive changes on the
Oh,
ground
yes,
in
yes,
terms
will
of
transform.
connectivity
And
or infrastructure.
Other thing is
Yeah.
we are talking about the Chinese side. So Chinese have done the new settlements of villages. What we are doing is our old 455 villages which are settled already existing on the LSC, on Arunachal side.
We are empowering them
We are
further.
empowering them.
Absolutely. But Ambassador Goyal, the words of Dr. Sriram Cholia, they're reverberating in my ears. China is seeing a new India and core national interests. They are paramount without blinking the eyelid. So do you think after today's development, the message and the sense has been reinforced?
Even today's development, today's launching of the
Yes, sir.
But the development has been taking place for a long time. I mean,
The move.
that's the reason.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me put it this way. I think what Dr. Shriram Cholia said, they are reverberating not only in my ears, I think all over the place really. The fact is that we have never shied away from looking in the Chinese eye. In 1962, even without being prepared, we looked in the Chinese eyes and we paid for it. We are a country of Chanakya. We are a country of Hanuman and Mahabharata, as Dr. Jaishankar said, that they were the biggest diplomat that anybody has seen. Diplomacy calls for not only for being strong, but the diplomacy calls for using the strength wisely and judiciously so that it can actually yield the best possible impact. No one on this earth, not even God, is omnipowerful.
That's
And
true.
even though God has to give up sometimes, and we are certainly not gods. So therefore, number one, it is good to be cognizant and it is good to recognize what your strengths are and use those strengths wisely and judiciously. Therefore, the number one point in this game will have to be make a balance sheet. That these are the assets we have, and this is how, and that I think Major General Sibach will know best, being the military man. He will know how to use those strengths, certainly not to overuse them, but use them to the best possible effect, number one. And certainly, we have the capacity to face Chinese. We face Chinese in Galwan. We face Chinese in Ladakh. We have faced Chinese along DOB. And we gave up DOB up. We gave up the position in Ladakh Heights afterwards. So we are capable of many things, really. Not always very wisely, but we do many things. The point really here is Deng Xiaoping, when he he launched China on the path to strength. And we all knew what he wanted at that time. But he also had the strategy of hiding your power till you can actually come and open yourself up to the world. Xi Jinping has now come and he's openly displaying his strength, and sometimes he pays for it also. Like what is happening in Indo-Pacific. Suddenly the USA has woken up that China is in a position to give a contest or challenge USA as a superpower, and therefore you have all this conflict now or this contest beginning in Indo-Pacific. I think we need to be very strategic about what we want to achieve. There is no disputing the fact that these areas which are part of India must be developed, because the security of the border areas lies in their development, economic and social development. But we do not have to say that economic and social development of those villages are linked to our border security. We can develop them economically. Incidentally, the program for the infrastructure development, to the best of my knowledge, began something about 15 or 20 years ago. It's not a new program. We became conscious of the fact that we have lost in the game with China by not developing our border areas. And then the need to develop them infrastructure-wise was felt very strongly. And we began to work on the roads, and etc., etc.
Right,
But again, what should be the pace of development. We have seen what happened in Joshimath. Prime Minister himself has said that both ecology and economy are respected in India.
Right.
So they have to work in tandem. Therefore, all I would say really at this stage is we have to develop our border areas. We have the capacity to look into the Chinese eyes, but we should be wise and we should be just judicious about it so that we do not waste our strength and so that we are careful about what we do, not for Chinese, but basically for development of our own areas.
I'll take that question to you, Dr. Cholia, but hold your thoughts right now. Time for a short break. We'll be back just right away. Welcome back, viewers. You're watching The Perspective. And before going for the break, we were talking about our strategic objectives. Dr. Cholia, Ambassador Goyal said that we have to carefully calibrate our strategic objectives and carefully determine what we want to show to the world and what we don't have to show to the world. Your thoughts?
Look, I think when you are conventionally inferior to the other side, you have to actually show a certain sense of urgency to catch up. So there's no question of being judicious or being deliberative about this anymore. There's been already enough thinking has gone into this, and this is a very well thought out and planned, effort to beef up our defensive, capabilities and also to give us a launching pad for counteroffensives. So I think if you look at it that way, there's no need to further reflect, because this is the time for action in the sense, and that's what Modi government is showing through action. They are transforming the entire LAC, 3,488 kilometers. You're talking about, very, very inhospitable terrain. And there, where we were seen as a soft state in the past, which could be run over or which could be just, bullied. Now we are saying we are standing up for our rights. And I think that's a big significant change. And I think assertiveness and a muscular approach is actually necessary going forward, because the Chinese are not amenable to any kind of reason or sweet talk. What they are basically saying is, if you are strong enough, well, we'll see. But if you are weak, we will trample you. We will crush you. That is the Chinese mindset. The Xi Jinping ideology is simply to assert hegemony over weaker neighbors and to show, Chinese dominance and China as superior. So for India, I think really what we need to do now is more. For example, we have also increased the number of ITBP, Indo-Tibetan Border Police battalions.
Yeah,
and that's a very significant addition linked to this border development that we are doing now with the villages. So all these will help send the signal that we are beefing up, and by the way, the Chinese have to contend on the eastern seaboard with what they call the primary strategic focus, which is Taiwan, and the challenge from Japan and the US. So we have some advantages of terrain in the Himalayas, and I think our military has shown that it has the capacity to use those to apply countervailing pressure on the Chinese. So all I'm saying is that we need to have that mindset of not shying away from a contest. And I think that's what we are showing through all this, that the catch-up is on, and we are not going to be defensive about this anymore, in the sense it's not like we need anybody's approval or consultation. But of course, there may be ecological concerns, that's different. But I'm talking from the geostrategic point of view. Whatever we are building is long due. And so we need to be in a hurry, and we need to actually do it in a redouble and do it in a much faster and bigger scale than has been, because India was like a tortoise. Now we are like trying to run like a hare or leap like a tiger, So I think this is the big change in the Modi era, and this must be continued, and we must persist with this more assertive approach, because the soft state approach will mean that the Chinese will have you for lunch. That is their attitude, and the Marxist-Leninist dogma and their belief in the neo-Maoist, that power flows from the barrel of a gun. So the only situation where they will respect and stop doing these incursions or attempt to grab our land is when we show them strength. So I think this is the time to show strength, and this is the time to be patriotic and to stand up to them. and to show the Chinese that we can be their equal and we can match them at least along certain areas of conventional power.
All right, so those are very important geostrategic concerns. But from there, let's also talk about the security perspective. General Sivaj, now local people serve as our ears and eyes along the vast stretches of LAC, which is humanly impossible to man or to monitor or to guard humanly at the every post. Sir, the development that we saw today in terms of Vibrant Villages program, going ahead, how do you see the impact of this program for augmenting our security forces or the cooperation to our security forces?
See, Preeti, what happened is that these villages, no doubt, these are the eyes and ears. You have to make them stakeholders. You develop those villages and make sure that they don't have to fall back. Why are they falling back? Because they don't have employment. And there is no school, there is no hospital there is no electricity in those villages which are bordering town. So obviously they fall back and there is a vacuum which is created. Now this vibrant village concept which is there, almost 3,000 villages will be there in 9 districts and in 5 states. This are to make sure that these villages have got the best of the facility available next door to them. And therefore these villagers don't have to fall back. They have employment there itself. And the tourism is the hub center. Let me tell you, as you develop these areas, the tourism will come and tourism will bring development. And with the development, these villages, they will be not only eyes and ears, they are stakeholders, they are more patriotic than anyone else. And therefore, the whole mindset has changed. My point is, when we were discussing this issue, that vis-a-vis Chinese, how we are doing better than them now. You know, Chinese have taken off 50, 60 years back. They have developed their infrastructure. The terrain is better as far as they are concerned because it is a flat plateau. In our case, it is a challenge every day. I'll give you 2-3 examples. I'll tell you in Ladakh. Now, let's say Ladakh connectivity was only through Srinagar or through Rohtang Pass. Most of the time, they used to be cut off. Only for 5 to 6 years, they used to remain connected. But now what is happening? Jojila tunnel is coming. Then another tunnel which we have now already planned it from Darcha, Padam going to Nimmu. I've traveled all these places. Now this will be a Sangrula pass will be made. It will be connectivity 24/7. See the transportation of man and material. Not only it will be cheaper but faster. So you have developed your infrastructure. Now what has changed in last 10 years? I will say 2-3 things. You know, there is no doubt the previous government possibly was also very much keen that our infrastructure should come up. But the whatever you think must be also translated into a deed. Most of the projects were either incomplete or they are being held up due to basically environmental issue. Of course, environmental issue has to be taken care of, but they can be hastened up. Now, this government has made sure that all these are cleared at the fast pace and you develop your infrastructure because without infrastructure, nothing can develop. And therefore, this vibrant village concept which has come, it is a game changer, it is a force multiplier. I'll give you an example in Manna Malari, Uttarakhand area. Now, the villages which used to be there in month of December, January, February, March, they used to be totally isolated and they used to be fined. The male population used to remain was not more than 10 to 15% because they used to fall back to get some job. Now this concept will change. You make these vibrant villages, they will stay there. They will ensure there is no slimy silencing done by the Chinese and they are there to support you. And another thing which I will like the present government do is that inner line permit, you know, is of course it is required. But what is happening is you have to develop tourism in this. These are very rich in the heritage and environment. You open it for tourism, automatically it will bring the development. And same thing has happened in Ladakh. When we have developed all these roads, tracks, and also taking up the railway line in Kashmir Valley, you find that tourism has come up. Tourism brings employment. It brings, you know, people becoming much more richer, and you find happiness coming. So I suppose the basic concept today, what it is there, the security is linked with your domestic economic development. And with time and again we are saying it, that if you have to face Chinese, you have to be not only militarily strong, but you have to be economically also strong. This is the concept the Chinese understand. You look into their eyes. No doubt militarily we were stronger. In the sense 62, we may not have done well. But in 1967 in Natula, we gave them a bloody nose. We lost 40 soldiers, but we killed more than 400 soldiers. In Kailash range, in August 28, 29th or 2020, we occupied Kailash range under the nose of the Chinese. This is the one which dominates Chashul Maulto Bowl. The Spangur gap from where the Chinese came in 1962 was in our hand. We could dominate that. That's a different thing. We have to give it back to buy peace, and there has to be sort of a disengagement to take place. But overall, I will say, we as a nation is changed psyche. We are now developing our border area. We are no more defensive in nature. We are offensive in nature. We look into Chinese eyes and we convey to them, we mean business. And that's why you find that this G20 meeting taking place in Arunachal Pradesh, taking place in Srinagar. We are not worried about China and Pakistan. The whole world is with us. So therefore the thing is, I suppose we are on the right track, but we have to fast catch up, because Chinese are not sitting idle. Remember in China what they are doing is, Western Highway Xinjiang to Lhasa, they are making another parallel highway. Yeah. They are making a railway line, and they have built up the biggest logistic depot in Tibet Autonomous Region. They have made 2 bridges on Pangangso. So they are also fast developing. But as on today, our pace is faster than them, and we must carry on that. I will give another example. In Darbuk Shok Daulatpur Road, which was built up in record time, and the Chinese were really worried, and Chinese thought that we are doing something exciting. We have now made a detour of that. In Setsarla, this is a glaciated train. We are now making a road from there directly going to DBO from Nubra Valley. So I suppose we have come up, and we know how to face Chinese, and Chinese are also getting the heat of it, that it is a change India. It is India which is not defensive, it is offensive in nature. Preeti.
Right, sir. You made very legit points there, sir, but you talked about infrastructural development. Mr. Diwan, of course, we've made rapid strides as far as infrastructure is concerned. But another very important concern that General Sivaj pointed out, that is, of course, about tourism. How do we leverage the potential of tourism of Northeast and our border villages, particularly in Arunachal Pradesh?
I would like to give you some examples.
Please go ahead, sir.
Which your viewers may not be aware of it. On every year, 1st December to 10th December, we have a festival called Hornbill Festival,
yes,
which is held in Kisama near Kohima.
Yes, sir.
During that period, you cannot find a hotel unless you book it 3-4 months in advance.
Fantastic.
And you will not only find the domestic tourists, you have a lot of tourists coming from abroad also for that. Similarly, in Arunachal Pradesh, we have a music festival which happens once in a year. They keep on changing the venue. It was held at Zero, then they changed it to Dambuk. And you will be surprised, for the last 5 years, JK Tires has been sponsoring a car rally which takes place in Dambuk area, the different terrain, you know, plain area, then rocky, and you know, you pass through the river beds and all that. And participants from all over India go to Arunachal Pradesh to take part in that. Really, hats off to JK Tire to have gone to that remote. I mean, we are calling it remote because, you know, people, they don't know much about it. Otherwise, it's not remote at all.
That's true.
So those kind of events are taking place. Tourism point of view, you know, Parshuram, who's supposed to be a Hindu god.
Yes, sir.
There's a Parshuram Kund in Arunachal Pradesh. There's an annual Mela which takes place near Parshuram Kund. Even the central government has decided to develop it as a major religious site. Similarly, Manipur also has Sangai festival. Mizoram has Chapchar Kut, which happens in the month of March every year. And Meghalaya, they have a cherry blossom festival also. You know, like, it's not only you may have heard of it in Japan, but in most of the northeastern states, they have done the plantation of cherry blossom trees. And Meghalaya has a cherry blossom festival in the month of November, which is also gathering a lot of crowd there. And see, basic thing is, because we have the connectivity, we have the infrastructure, so people are going there. And similarly, Arunachal is the most beautiful state in the entire northeast region. For years, when you're driving down, you don't see a human being. If you stop somewhere on the road, you will hear the sound of wind or the river gushing
East
out.
of the east, right,
It's so
sir?
beautiful and so picturesque. So it has a lot of potential. People go for angling in Arunachal Pradesh. They have
That's
the
right.
festival. So a common man can also travel by train. Those who can afford, they have a direct flight from Delhi going to the newly inaugurated airport in Arunachal Pradesh.
Right, sir. I hope our viewers are listening, and of course they'll book their tickets very soon. But Ambassador Goyal, the crux of the matter, of course, is that we have to prevent migration. Do you think that this will lead to reverse migration?
I find that basically we are mixing up issues here. We are looking at development of the villages to ensure security of India. And I'm saying that development by itself is an imperative for security. So why should we be linking development with security and do development because of security? Development is necessary by itself. And therefore, what I would say, we need to be very clear about what we are trying to do. First of all, development of the border regions of India is a must, because the best security of a nation lies in its people. Please recall that in 1965, in 1948, from Jammu and Kashmir, when the marauders were coming in, they were coming in, the first information came from the grazers in that area. They came to the army and they told them that so and so is coming, because people were conscious about where the security was. And therefore, if people are secure in their economic future in the area, they will believe in the security within it. Therefore, first of all, develop the villages, vibrant villages, whatever name you want to give them, develop them basically because the development is necessary. Number two, and I'm here again being very cautious. I don't see Dr. Cholia anymore here, but I'm sure he's listening to.
Yes, sir. I'm sure he's there with us. Yes, sir.
The thing is that I mentioned Chanakya in the beginning. Ambivalence sometimes can be a very productive strategy. We don't always have to shout at the top of our voice that this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to kill you. Okay, all right. I mean, we will do that if there is a need. But we don't have to announce to the world and make them ready to come and attack us. We need to be slightly more cautious and strategic about how we want to achieve it. Ambivalence, silence sometimes can be good, provided this is an ambivalence and silence born out of strength, not out of weakness. But if we believe that we are doing this thing out of weakness, then we will do it.
Right.
I think in this particular case,
Vijay Lakshmi
we
Pandit,
are strong,
संयुक्त राष्ट्र
we have
महासभा
shown that
की
we are strong,
पहली महिला
but by
अध्यक्ष,
shouting ourselves to be
देश की
strong
पहली
sometimes,
महिला
we
कैबिनेट
basically
मंत्री,
tell them
भारतीय संविधान
that
सभा की
we are
सदस्य,
concerned. We
लोकसभा
don't
में
have to show our
फूलपुर सीट की
Dr. Cholia,
नुमाइंदगी,
quick response
संयुक्त
there.
राष्ट्र मानवाधिकार
See,
परिषद
only
में
thing I'll say,
देश
Kriti,
का
is, India
प्रतिनिधित्व।
is a democracy.
विजय
Chinese
लक्ष्मी
can
पंडित
build
के नाम है,
infrastructure and
उपलब्धियां
keep it
अन्य।
under wraps.
नेहरू
You
परिवार
know,
की
you can't
जो
expect
सदस्य
a
हैं, देश
democracy
की
like ours,
सफलतम
where there is
राजनीतिज्ञों
party
में से एक।
politics and all these things, where people will just quietly do everything under cover, and these are people who are voters in elections and all that. So the point is Northeast development and also Western sector development, all these are part of our vibrant democracy. Vibrant village is part of vibrant democracy. So some degree of, public announcement is also necessary, even from a strategic point of view, not just domestic democratic reasons. It's also kind of signaling. See, if we are not revealing everything, we are not showing them the insides of our tunnels, right? And how they have been built and how resistant they are and where, how many troops they can carry and all that. They will be trying to glean the Chinese through their own intelligence sources and through their own satellite and other, like just as we are using all our strategic partners to check in on what they are up to. So I don't think we are revealing anything really strategic out here by announcing Amit Shah ji is being there. It gives confidence to the nation also. You see, in democracy, you have to mobilize and rally the whole country.
Absolutely.
The Chinese, they just do, propaganda and they censorship-based approach. to mobilization. They don't, they rely mostly on the PLA and their forces, and now they are weaponizing the local Tibetans on their side in the Chinese occupied Tibet. But our thing is, we need the confidence of the people. We have to take people along, and ultimately that is how we can resist a stronger opponent like China. So I think people need to be invested. As you know, border areas, people can be hopeless. People can become cynical, as we talked about. And people can also wonder, am I being crushed in the battle of giants between two sides? Am I somewhere caught in between? So that creates a kind of a buffer zone kind of a mentality, not a clear territorial control mentality of India or of Indian sovereignty. So we don't want that. So I think what we are trying to do through this program is confidence building of the whole nation, especially of the people living in those areas who have felt neglected and even betrayed by India in the past, during previous governments. Now we are saying, we will not betray you. You are our people.
That's
and we'll
true.
do everything for your security and safety and well-being. So I think these are big messages
Right,
and
sir.
signaling that we are doing, and it's necessary because the narrative also goes across to the other side. If our troop movements, our military doctrines, our chief of defense staff was in eastern sector, and he was talking about to forces and commanders about offensive, counter-offensive, all those things. Those obviously need not be reviewed. But I think to show the Chinese that people in these regions do not accept the Chinese claims. The Chinese are saying these are all part of South Tibet and this belongs to us. We are saying, no, these people are actually, loyal citizens of India and they will stand up to you. So I think it's very important
Absolutely.
moral
Dr. Cholia?
boosting function,
Absolutely.
a psychological preparation of the nation to face a long-term struggle against this bully or this adversary up north. We need to do these kind of declaratory and demonstrative things.
Absolutely.
Just one
Ambassador
second.
Goyal, perceptions and narratives are important.
Absolutely. I want to completely agree with Dr. Cholia in this particular case, particularly the last sentence, that we don't have to be demonstrative about what we are doing. It doesn't have to be linked to China. Development of the border region is a must all by itself. I fully agree, completely. It is just, and Mr. Amit Shah goes and announces it, very good. We are telling the world what we are doing for the development of India. Absolutely necessary. All I'm saying is that not all our development in the border areas, in fact, not even 1% of the development should be linked to the Chinese. That's all. It's an
All right, Mr. Devan, you wanted to make a point. Please go ahead.
I wanted to share some information.
Please go ahead.
See, we are raising 7 battalions of ITBP.
ITBP there. Right.
And those are not going to be sitting in the barracks.
Yes, sir.
They're going to be, we are going to have 47 new outposts
Right.
and 12 camps at the cost of 1,800 crores. So these are the things which will give confidence to our people living in the border areas, and also the employment to the locals. After all, ITBP would prefer to have locals employed as sepoys for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. General Savach, you wanted to make a point. I'll give you the floor for the closing comments.
Yeah, Preeti, what the development and security are the two sides of the same coin. You required, if you want to be secured, your border need to be developed. That is, way we are thinking now. What happened in Arunachal Pradesh, we neglected for too long. Now we are telling them, you are part and parcel of nation, we will fight till the last together. And you are there with us and we are there with you. So this development and security is interlinked, and that's why, there are a lot of gaps which were there in Arunachal Pradesh, and hence this 7 battalion of ITBP has been raised. So all those gaps have been filled, and very rightly said that son of the soil concept is also there. You will come to know that a lot of people who are locals, they will also get recruited in this ITBP battalion. So I suppose India is now going in a right direction. We are sending a right message. What are the people whom are we sending? Your own people. First, let them get a confidence in your nation, that the nation is with you. That is what message you need to send to the people of Arunachal Pradesh. And
Absolutely.
second, very important message you are sending to China, that we are no more that weak country. We will, if you try to bully, we'll pay you back. And that is the message, I suppose, is loud and clear, not only to China, but to Pakistan. It is a change India. It is India which is confident. It is India which is the 4th largest army and the 5th largest economy. And we are there to stay, and we will look into your eyes. Preeti.
Absolutely. India was different then. India is different now. On that note, thank you so much for joining us, Ambassador Goyal, General Savach, Mr. Devan, and Dr. Cholia. Well, viewers, that's all we could pack for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sansad TV. Goodbye for now from my side.